Pre-order the Clownfish TV comic book right now on Indiegogo. Go to clownfishtvcomic.com. That's clownfishtvcomic.com. This is a fun collection of all new comic strips based on dumb stuff we've said on the show. Again, that's clownfishtvcomic.com. You're gonna have to hurry. We're only taking pre-orders for a limited time. Now we're gonna get back into the show. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And the Oscars make Richard Dreyfuss vomit.
Okay.
No, actually, he's very angry about the diversity requirements. I gotta give a hat tip to Mike Phelan, who did a story on Clownfish TV about it. I knew about it, and I was like, all I kept thinking was, this sounds a lot like, we don't feel like we can win on our own, so we have to change the rules to make sure we can. Yes. And this is a guy who is historically progressive, historically liberal. And
does anybody really care Richard Dreyfuss anymore? Let's be honest.
I do. I like Jaws. I like Close Encounters.
After Mr. Holland's opus, I don't think anybody.
That was his opus. Mr. Dreyfuss's opus.
Yeah, basically.
but no, I think it's pretty interesting that we've got more saner people, I guess, in Hollywood coming out and saying, hey, all of this stuff has gone way too far. Quentin Tarantino was coming out and
I don't think they're saner. I think they're just like, they never moved. Everything else moved, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, we're rational people. What the hell?
That's what happened to us.
I know.
I mean, everybody keeps saying, you're a bunch of right-winger Nazis. It's like, no, actually, we are, at least myself, I can't really speak to you, but myself, my politics have not changed since...
You've been the same since I've known you.
Yeah, since the mid-90s. The first president I voted for was Clinton.
Didn't know you then, but they haven't changed since I've known you.
No. I'm liberal in a lot of things and conservative when it comes to money. I am a capitalist. I'm sorry if that offends you. But yeah, let's talk about Richard Dreyfuss. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much. We are going to do a live stream at some point. We have a lot going on right now. We need to be able to sit down and have peace and quiet for a couple hours.
It's not me. I keep pointing it out. We need to do it.
I know, but
it's Neon.
We need to have
peace
and quiet, uninterrupted.
Never going to happen.
2 hours of time to do
happen.
it. But Richard Dreyfuss was slamming the diversity requirements for the Oscar contention. Now, we talked about this before. We said that there basically are requirements that movies have to meet now to be considered for the Oscars. So let's go out actually to the New York Post. They have probably the best, most succinct version of it with the mainstream media, and they break it down and they talk about what the new diversity and inclusion guidelines are. Basically, you have to meet certain criteria to have your movie nominated for Best Picture Oscar. Okay. It's ridiculous. We'll talk about the requirements first, and then we'll go back up and talk about what Richard Dreyfuss said. The categories each pertain to different aspects of a movie's production would require new diversity measures to be met through on-screen representation, creative leadership and project team, industry access and opportunities, and audience advancement. On-screen representation is classified as at least one lead character from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group, having at least 30% of secondary roles be from two underrepresented groups, or the main storyline has to focus on an underrepresented group.
Okay. So basically what this is we're mad that we weren't winning, and sometimes, I think sometimes I did get snubbed and it wasn't right. But sometimes it's because you frankly didn't deserve to be nominated. But no, it's because of istophobia. So now we're going to mandate this shit so we always get nominated. It's kind of like elections where you keep putting mandates in or bring people in not necessarily legally and then say they should be allowed to vote so that you can keep your power. It's not cool.
He really stepped in. We're getting a lot of actors and older celebrities just speaking their mind. I know Paul Stanley got in trouble from Kiss. He got in trouble for weighing in on trans representation and hormone blockers and all that junk.
Do you know what else is kind of shitty though? This is kind of shitty, and this is going to have. This is the downside of this mandated shit. Is that you're going to have people that meet these criteria. They're actually talented people who did an actually good movie. But if they win, people are just going to be like, oh, it was just because you were diversity hires, and their actual work won't be credited.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth about this is you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, hey, did I actually deserve this or did I just get it because, you know?
And then other people who don't, the other movies that don't necessarily meet this criteria, that might have been amazing movies with fantastic acting. And basically what this is going to do too, which is an unfair thing too, is it's going to limit who can be nominated based on these films. But if you're really good performance, you like the best performance ever, and you're white, straight, and male, you might as well fucking forget it, because somebody who did far less than you, but it's a minority group of some kind can be nominated and win, whether they deserve it or not. So why try?
Yes, the underrepresented groups include women, people of color, people who identify as LGBTQ+, or people with disabilities. I think Ezra Miller's going for that Oscar nomination for The Flash. The new standards are meant to encourage diversity on and off screen.
No,
So
problem solved. Problem solved.
Mandate.
You're all non-binary.
There you go.
Because that's what I keep seeing people do. You're just tell everybody you're non-binary. You might dress as a dude or a woman all the time, but you identify as non-binary. Problem solved. That's how you identify now. So that's what's going to happen. A bunch of actors are going to come out being like, well, I'm bisexual. Well, you're married to, opposite sex doesn't matter. I'm attracted to both. You can't prove otherwise.
This has been happening in comics and animation for years.
Yeah, but now there's awards at stake.
Yes, now there are awards
and jobs at stake.
Well, comics, there have been jobs and awards at stake for years as well.
This is not going to go the way they think it's going to go. It's actually going to probably cause issues for people who legitimately identify in those ways, or that are disabled or whatever. It might not be the opportunities they think it's going to be.
So yeah, Richard Dreyfuss says it makes him vomit. He said this is
that's a little extreme. But okay.
This is an art form. It's also a form of commerce, and it makes money, but it's an art. Dreyfuss said on PBS, oh my God, PBS's Firing Line with Margaret Hoover. And no one should be telling me as an artist that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is. So yeah, he said that Dreyfuss, who played Matt Hooper in Jaws, claimed the standards were legislating people's feelings. What are we risking? Are we really risking hurting people's feelings? You can't legislate that, and you have to let life be life. I'm sorry. I don't think that there is a minority or majority in the country that has to be catered to like that. Uh-oh. How dare legendary actor Richard Dreyfuss give a hot take on the state of Hollywood right now? He doesn't care anymore. I don't think he cares. He said Laurence Olivier did back in '65. He did blackface. He played a black man brilliantly. Wow. Okay. Am I being told that I will never have a chance to play a black man? Yes, you are. You are, Richard. You are. Someone else being told that if they're not Jewish, they shouldn't play The Merchant of Venice. Are we crazy? Do we not know what art is? This is so patronizing. It's thoughtless and treating people like children. I don't know if I would go so far as to say, hey, blackface is a good idea.
Yeah, no, that's way too far. I do not agree with that. They're not stand by that message.
This is what he said. Not what Clownfish TV said, by the way. Dreyfuss suggested movies should remain focused on the reality of the story instead of manipulating it to meet a standard of who's in it. I once worked for a guy who was making a film about the gangsters of the 30s, Dreyfuss recalled. I said, why did you change this incident and that incident from the reality? Because the reality was so much more interesting than what you created, and by changing it, you made it simple and smaller. I totally believe that you can make a great film or a great painting or a great opera out of the truth first, and try that first. And if you can't do it, then make up some nonsense. But don't tell me you can't do that history isn't that interesting.
Okay, that's just neither here nor there. I mean, that's just like, dude, that sounds pompousy.
It sounds...
He usually does.
It sounds to me like he's just kind of... I'd have to watch the entire interview, but it sounds like he's just kind of vomiting all of his grievances with modern Hollywood because he is older. He does not care. He's had his career. He doesn't care. But he's not wrong in the fact that like history, especially historical films, have been, look at Cleopatra. They've been altered. We have to make sure we change things.
Oh, he's in ABC's Madoff show, so he's still around.
Okay, he hasn't gotten canceled
I was wondering because no one cares otherwise unless you're doing something currently. Yeah. But look, here's the thing. This whole idea that everything has to be mandated. So now a movie that can be an amazing movie can only work if it's got so much representation in it. Well, what if it's in a movie? What if it's a movie about like a historical thing that was predominantly men that weren't LGBTQ or they were mostly white dudes, but it was a really good story, a really important story. you can't, it's, automatically it's nominated. It can be nominated if it's about a whole group of black men or Asian men or whatever. And like, I agree that they need more diversity. I was really excited to see Everything Everywhere All at Once get nominated.
That was a legitimately good film.
But that's just it. It was a legitimately good film. And I'm just afraid that we're going to get films that, meet these criteria that are going to get nominated over films that don't necessarily meet all the criteria. They only had 20% representation of secondary characters or whatever. And then we're going to get people that maybe necessarily don't deserve a win just because of their identity, not because they deserved it. And I don't think that's fair. Nor do I think it's fair that, if someone does win because they did a fantastic, amazing job at a character, and then they turn out that they are a minority, people are just going to automatically assume, well, you only won because you're those things. And that's the other side of it, which isn't fair either. This is setting itself up for a lot of shit.
So this is going to be really interesting because this is coming as they're talking that SAG-AFTRA might go on strike, that the actors might be on strike. So it might be pointless anyway. There might not be any movies with anybody, diverse or not diverse. You might all get replaced with AI.
Why don't they just do this? Why don't they just do this? Why don't they just take all the nominees that are coming in, look at the movies that are the best, and try to like make sure they pick up several diverse projects that are good as nominees to make sure they get in there.
Okay, so then you've got Twitter squawking if those diverse projects do not win, that's racism, homophobia.
Well, that's the thing. No matter what you do, sure. I mean, the only way that they're going to shut up is all diverse projects all the time, and everyone and they all win. That's the only way they're going to shut the fuck up. And sometimes they deserve to win, and sometimes they don't. That's just the reality of it. Same with anybody. No matter who is starring in the film. Sometimes a film deserves to win, and sometimes it doesn't.
That is the truth. It used to be that the best films won.
Why don't we just nominate on merit, not on, identity?
Oh, that's racist.
Bullshit.
You can't say that. You can't say that a movie has to be good to win.
There have been times in history where I thought that the movies that they skipped over that happened to be diverse, that should have been nominated for other people. And I'm not going to say that doesn't happen because it has. But again, you're setting people up for just like being like, you only won because you're whatever. So there's no way to really win this.
Meanwhile, again, not to drag Disney into it, but meanwhile, Disney is burying Song of the South. And Song of the South, the lead actor who played Uncle Remus, James Baskett, he won an honorary Oscar. He was the first black man to win an Oscar in any capacity before Sidney Poitier. And they basically erased his contribution. That was a groundbreaking, diverse thing. But, we got to bury that movie because it's problematic.
Right. And then if you complain about it or complain about things, well, like the Bud Light thing. What's just Bud Light? Well, it was just Mrs. Butterworth and... it was just syrup and butter, but here we are. I'm gonna reiterate with the Bud Light thing. The reason we haven't done 50,000 videos on Bud Light is it's horse piss. I literally do not care. Yeah,
that is my take on. Now they mess with my Yingling or my Sam Adams or my Heineken, then we're gonna have a problem. We might have a problem, but Bud Light, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
But I mean, what I do care about is I'm just tired. I think choices are being made by identity politics and not by, this is across the board, and not by what people actually want. But to be fair, the Oscars are just Hollywood kissing each other's ass, jacking each other off. That's what it is. It's a circle jerk of epic proportions. Most people weren't even watching the award shows anymore because they don't fucking care, because they know Hollywood's up its own ass, and they're all like, we don't want anything to do with that. You guys go do you. And that's why
themselves often.
I know, and that's why their viewership just keeps going to decline. Except for this year, people actually care because they want to see Brendan Fraser or the Everything Everywhere All at Once people win. And people don't give a shit. So let's give them more reasons to not give a shit.
So yeah, this is interesting. I think we're gonna see a lot of this coming out of Hollywood. I think we're gonna start seeing people voicing their actual opinions, because again, I think the worst of cancel culture is over. I think it's going to be much harder to get canceled for giving a controversial take on something, because the reality is a good majority of people believe these quote unquote controversial takes. They just weren't allowed to say anything for like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
In fact, he actually said in the same interview, he said that, why do we send kids to school to be trained to be Republicans or Democrats? They should be given the facts and think for themselves.
That's what we were taught to do.
That's a controversial take now.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's what the facts are. You pick what you want to do.
Absolutely.
No one's going to tell you. But now it's like you're being trained, and like, why do we like let certain people come over illegally and then try to get them the right to vote? Because you need more shit. We're not winning, so let's go find more people to vote for us. That's what this is like. And the kicker is, it's gonna hurt the people you're claiming to protect too. And that's what makes you mad, is the people that may sincerely deserve it and would have been nominated normally, now they're nominated under these ridiculous guidelines. If they win, people are going to always be like, you didn't win because you deserved it. And that's not fair.
No. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up, I think. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye. Hollywood just sucks anyway. Fuck 'em.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.